table, grab the dice. Grizzly and Jesse are in the house. Welcome to Rolling Recklessly, where the battle lines meet the sky. May your crips be high, may your pain never dry, and your roads be ever reckless.
Update your apps, grab your models, and rewrite your list. Welcome back to Rolling Recklessly, the Warhammer podcast, where new rules spark new debates, hot takes spread like wildfire, and every faction gets its day in the sun. I'm your host, Grizzly, and today I got my co-host with me, my boy, Scarecrow Poe, with the new Fires of Aqshy War Scroll updates coming in and the new GHB dropping. It's an exciting time right now, I think, in Sigmar.
A lot of changes, a lot of updates. Some people benefited, some people, lamented it. There's some Scourge of Gyran War Scrolls I'm a miss, but there's a lot of new exciting Scourge of Aqshy War Scrolls to get into. So yeah, let's take a look at this thing and see all this new stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. The Scourge of Aqshy supplement is finally here, bringing every faction new alternate war scrolls, enhancements, spells, prayers, and then plenty of new ideas to get people talking. Now, we're not going to sit here and read every rule to you. Instead, we want to do something just a little bit different. Before we even start putting our show notes together, I reached out to the Arizona Age of Sigmar community with one simple question. Who's winning? Who's losing? And what's everyone talking about? Today, we're going to react to some of those conversations, give our first impressions, and debate which factions really came out ahead and which ones actually might have been left wanting a little bit more. Keep this in mind. These are exactly that, first impressions. None of us have had like a month to test these rules yet, and honestly, that's part of the fun. We're excited to see where these conversations get going, so let's see what starts happening. Before Jesse and I started putting together our own thoughts on this episode, I wanted to know what everyone else was thinking. So I reached out to the House of Hobbies Discord and asked, and honestly, I think there were some really interesting takes.
Yeah, with so many war scrolls, so many enhancements, there's just so many options to choose from. We obviously can't cover all of it, but yeah, the community, touched base with us and let us know what they thought were some of the winners and some of the things that were maybe a little mediocre. But yeah, we'll take a look at what we can, and we'll give our thoughts obviously on some of our own favorites. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of stuff to go over.
Yeah, no, it is. It was a lot. It was intimidating to even working on this episode. I will say that, but I think there was a couple that really stood out. Obviously, we're gonna review what we review. Obviously, Sylvaneth, Stormcast. Those are always on the agenda.
Absolutely.
Just in case anybody's curious on this episode or any episode, Sylvaneth and Stormcast are always on the agenda.
Yeah, when you have your favorite armies, you go right to their stuff when the new stuff drops.
Exactly.
It's always useful to know what everything is doing in the new GHB, but you just can't help it. You go to your favorite faction, you see all the ways that they got better. Yeah, it's an exciting time for the old Stormcast and Sylvaneth players. But again, we can't cover it all, and I'm sure people are rubbing their hands together and making their lists with devious smiles on their face. It's a time where we're going to see in the coming weeks and months, how is list building going to be affected by the new changes to not only the tactics and battle plans, but with all of these new mechanics that they added as far as, how to gain fury and rage and maintain it, as well as use it as this third, resource that we didn't really account for before. So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's no longer a mystery. We can actually, digest it all together and start to decode all the secrets that GW was hiding from us.
Agreed. Yeah, I think actually that's a great place to take us into our This Week in Sigmar. Because I know you got in a couple games into this GHB. I got a couple games in this GHB. Well, not a couple. Each of us, I believe. I think you got a couple. I got one. I got one game in this GHB. And just even playing, man, is It's the game is it's very different than Scourge of Gyran, I will say. So it seemed like they were kind of lazy when they were writing like and doing the lore, but when it actually comes to gameplay and all of that, I think they did a great job in making it a totally different game.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
interested to see how people, take advantage of the, rage and fury mechanic. Um, it was even though I played a game, it was still confusing, just like understanding, when to use them, how to acquire, the asset, how to add on to it, when to reset it, when to add to the opponents. There's all these rules are covered in the new General's Handbook, and it's all things that we're trying to account for together while learning it at the same time. It's you know, it's important in these like in this new General's Handbook to take some time and be forgiving to yourself and your opponent while you try to figure out exactly how this whole thing works. But the few times that the Fury and Rage dice, I'm sorry, the Fury level and the Rage dice mechanic came in, whether it was the passive that allowed you to ward off damage, or the ever exciting Fury mechanic where you're getting extra attacks out of your profile. It's a really cool mechanic. I'm interested to see how the community is going to like shape their lists around it, how they're going to exploit it with this character or that hero or whatnot. I like how we can give an enhancement now to a battle line unit. Like I think that makes battle line important again. It's just a lot of goodness, man. It's a lot of reward for the wait, because I felt like we were waiting there for a while and it was getting a little long in the tooth with the last one. And now everything is just so fresh. It's almost like shocking and jarring. This game that we got so comfortable with, it's now uncomfortable again. It's now a little bit nerve-wracking. It's a little bit like, well, you showed up to test day, you didn't study. You're like, oh man, what did I do?
Yeah.
How do I get through this? So yeah, I'm excited, bro. I think it, with the rule changes, the minor ones, like not being able to charge faction terrain, I'm saying, not having so much obscuring tied to place power. It just really, it's going to make things that weren't viable more viable. It's going to make things that were sure takes, maybe you aren't so sure now. But I love it, man. I don't know about you, but I cleared all the lists that I had in my app out, and I started fresh. And
That's exactly what I did. I cleaned them all out. I deleted all of them. Actually, we got some new factions in, for us, which is exciting for this new GHB.
It's tough, because you and I, we have so many factions in it, and we both said like the new GHB, we're gonna commit to a new one, but it's so hard when like the game has changed so much, and you're like, well, at least I'm comfortable with this army, if not the tactics. But to go in, a little bit of uncomfortability with the army, a little bit uncomfortability with the new tactics. It's almost, like I said, it's almost like being brand new again. So it's I want to know, like, which one am I going to take next? I've got it up in the air. Maybe some of the listeners can get in the Discord and give me a suggestion and get, because I'm torn between Corn, Skaven, and
OBR, bro.
Yeah.
OBR. Yeah.
And it's just like, it's three really cool ways to approach the game, and it's just like, oh, how do I pick? So I just can't wait to see what like the community is saying about this GHB, saying about the units, and saying about the war scrolls that we're going to be talking about in this episode.
You know what? One thing I like that kind of you were talking about, and I felt that 100% what you were saying was like how like now we were so comfortable with this for a long time, and now it's like kind of like an uncomfortable thing again.
Yeah,
it's almost like discouraging to play. Like it's just like you're like, I know I got to put all those reps back in. I know I got to do all of this again, and it's like I was really good last year, and it's like it sucks because now it's like scary to be bad.
Yeah. And then our peers are already, competing and throwing themselves in the fire. Like, I just can't. I need some time to digest this thing.
Well, I've been trying, like we did our game. We did a game, and I think it is one of those things. Like it's like the reps thing, like we we're talking about, man. I think as scary as it is, it's like just be forgiving of yourself, like you were saying. Of just understand, like, I would go in like thinking I'm gonna lose the first game. I'm
just-
really tough. I know it's a you were there for when we start breaking down the games for my game, and I know maybe like that's not the situation, but I 100% in there with the mentality of like, hey man, like this is not going to go good for me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, it
But
makes the game nerve wracking a little bit now, like not knowing how you're
Yeah.
going to perform, because you kind of have to formulate your plan through gameplay and like
Yep.
through trial and error. So it's
Well-
like it's tough when you haven't seen it in action. And then those
Yeah.
battle plans, man, like I'm almost nervous just setting them up now too. Like I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, please don't make me defender.
Yeah.
I don't want to set the battle plan up.
Yeah.
But
You're like-
yeah, like looking at those maps, and then I'm like, oh no, I don't want to be the one. You know, how are we going to delineate these like no man's lands? You know what I'm saying? Like one of the battle
Yeah.
plans, it was like a checkerboard down the center of no man's
Yeah,
land.
dude,
I was
it's
like,
crazy.
how are you going to account for
that-
that?
Yeah, I could see like one thing I thought that was really cool that when we played at the Heroes Cup is like their maps had like they like strategically hidden these little lines and circles that like signified
Yeah.
like, hey, this is a 9 inches from the center.
Absolutely.
I mean? This
It
is
had
this
these-
part where you
it
drop
had
this
these
objective goes
vague-
here.
but subtle, like delineating lines. And yeah,
Yeah.
I did
Dude, it
like
was sick.
that. That was cool. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, that's gonna, if you have one of those, a map that's like delineated with lines and zones, you're gonna have a much easier
Yeah.
time this GHB. But I see what they did, bro. They wanted us to like really scratch our heads when we were like moving around these maps. And I
Agreed.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I'm like, oh, like where do I put this? Where do I set this? You know what I mean? I'm gonna miss the Stormcast where you put half your stuff in his ear and you can figure it out later.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it'll drop where you drop. Yeah. But
yeah.
actually, talking about these battle plans, we ran a couple through them this weekend. Let's go ahead and talk your game. How many games have you gotten into this GHB? You've gotten 2 or
No,
one?
just one, and I played with
Just the
a
one?
good buddy. I could play with a good buddy of mine, Josiah, and he's learning his Skaven, and he got some new units, and I kind of played a silly all dragons list just because he had played my really competitive Stormcast list already a couple times, so I wanted him to have some fun with his units. And yeah, and he got to play with some rattling guns and some and Thankwolf, and I think they did really well for him. And we got to see kind of the things that didn't do so well in his army. You know, he was really attached to that like warp lightning cannon, but we felt like maybe he could change that out. But the rattling guns, I think they're back, baby. I like them a lot. I think that Skaven players are going to be happy having those back on the field and easier to get their shots into things. Nahol's not being able to be charged was really nice and good for him. It took us both like 2 turns to score our tactics, though, bro. So I think coming in right away, getting a 15-point, getting a 20-point turn is a little bit more challenging than it probably was in the last GHB, at least on first impression. It seems like it's geared to more towards like that first round is kind of just like you're just going to be like playing for primary.
Yeah.
It's even just like the verbiage on some of the tactics, that there were so many times where me and Josiah were like, wait, read that again. What did that say? There's definitely like, the ones where I feel like everyone is going to be using it, like Siege of Ashes and Burning for Vengeance. And
Yeah, I agreed.
is that the one with the vigilante one, or what? You make somebody a fugitive, like
That's what it is. You make him the fugitive. That's the Burning for Vengeance one, I believe.
Yeah, so
And
it
that one I
reminds-
think it's really good.
it reminds me of like the treasure one, or like the master, like go get this hero thing. So yeah, we had a really, really fun game. We had to cut it short because obviously we wanted to watch that good UFC.
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
totally wasn't disappointing at all.
Yeah, it certainly had
Conor
a
McGregor.
climactic finish, but yeah, I could see how some misplays might feel like Conor McGregor did when
Yeah,
when he comes to this PHP, bro. You go in feeling so strong, and then you make one wrong move, you're on one wrong objective. It's tough.
I
We
think
did the
that's
battle
actually-
plan, and I
think
can't
it's a-
remember what it was called, but it's the one where like the forests get set on fire. And
Yeah, we did the same one. Yeah,
yeah, so I'm glad that if anything, at the start of this GHB, we both know the battle plan where the field catches on fire. So other than that, like, yeah, it's I have so much more work to do on this GHB, bro. I feel like it's gonna take 10 games to be comfortable, bro.
Yeah. It is going to be. I thought, well, we got to look at it this way. For Scourge of Guy ran, we got a ton of games in. We got enough games in, and we missed it. And
I
it's
think
the more that we keep putting our games off, the worse we're going to be for it. We just got to go, and we got to go lose like fucking 20 times, and then after that point we can just not do that. But I think that's what's gonna have to happen, is we're gonna have to go and get crushed by people like Jed and Zach.
Oh no.
There's a lot of people I think.
Hey man, iron forges iron, so you're right. Maybe we just got to go out there and try. But man, I think I'll hit the scene, the casual scene.
Yeah,
I'll hit the casual scene a little bit over the next month or two. But yeah, I see the things on the horizon like the Smite GT, and and there's always going to be an RTT is always only like a month away ever. There's you know what I mean, and there's just so many shops that are running little small events, local events. So yeah, I know that it's gonna hurt. I know it's gonna be frustrating. I know it's gonna have a lot of crushing losses. But yeah, we do have to. You know what it was during Scourge I ran. Our losses were just to each other. So like we sat there,
it wasn't that bad,
just grinding this stupid thing out, and then once
in between every dab, it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, you're taking a shot while you're trying to figure this thing out. But so
I'm having a great time. I'm losing, but I'm having a great time.
Yeah, like I know it's gonna just be like a clusterfuck when we actually sit down and play our first game of this new GHB. It's gonna be a lot of, you know how we are, man. We're some retconners. So, hey, I forgot this. Can we go back to this point in time and try that again? And even me and Josiah in our game were like that, bro. So, I mean, you got a game in this week. Like it was confusing.
Right now is kind of like the time to do it because we're all learning. But I think that's actually a great transition into my game. My game I actually had a great time. It was, like you said, super stressful trying to pick my battle tactics. I did go Burning for Vengeance, where you pick the fugitive, and then I did the one where you have to like be outside of friendly territory, within 6 inches of friendly territory, and within 3 of each other. Yeah.
I feel like that's like the new. What was the one you were using? Scouting Forces.
Scouting Forces. Yeah, it did feel that way.
It's it's a battle tactic kin to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I played the same one you did. That I like to call it the Dragon Ball one. It's like a 6-star Dragon Ball is how the tactics are set up.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you set all the fucking terrain pieces on fire. We played a friend of the show, Tanner, our
Tanner,
our destruction player. That's our local orcs guy.
Playing Big Wah, the mixed Wah, right?
Exactly. That's exactly the Big Wah with the mixed Wah. And it was a lot of fun. I could see he also didn't know what he was doing as far as like the tactics. I think he played one of the same ones I played, and then he played the I don't remember what the other one. Oh, I think he had to like take 2 objectives in my territory. And I thought that was very difficult, but
it's easy. Well, this early to not be married to any tactics. Eventually we're gonna settle down with 2 of these for the rest of the edition. But it's like, for now, we're playing roulette. We're playing like, okay, I'll run this tactic.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like, I think I can do this. I'm gonna try to do this anyways. That's kind of what I've looked at.
In your game, you were like, "Hey, when you can't accomplish the tactics, just build for power."
That's it. That's 100% what I did. If you saw what I was doing,
I was like, Built for power. Yeah. It's like, I think somebody said 18 annihilators. And I was like, no. Like, when you can't figure out your tactics, just run 18 annihilators. So like, no, but
You're not wrong. That's 100% what I did. Is I felt really uncomfortable with the tactics. I was like, well, I'm gonna play a new army. I'm learning a new army. We got some new cool shit. I think I'm just gonna try to kill you if it comes down to it. I guess I'm gonna try to score my primary. And that one is really hard to score the primary because you get it's 3 if you control 1, 3 if you control another pair, and then is it 4 if you control more, right? Yeah, so that's how you get your 10. And the pair is all like across from each other diagonally. Like, so
and really all 6 objectives are down, so it's like it's a lot to try to control more if they have an army that can spread out across all of it, right? So it's really tough. But
is that what you struggled with your end game? I know I kind of interrupted you and didn't get to hear. Is that what you struggled with?
No, I was dragon, so I just flew around and got where I needed to go. And then I had one of my dragons was a priest, so he was just teleporting the other dragons. But I could see if you were like strictly a ground army, you know what I mean? Like, think like a Shoggoth hole. You know what I mean?
Or when you're playing orc war clans, they can only move 4.
Yeah, it's tough. That twist where it's like deal D3 to everything within 6 inches of the terrain. 6 inches is far as fuck when you're measuring from like a big forest patch. When you're measuring, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty far when like it's gonna spread to something adjacent. Now it's like a 12-inch like bubble. Yeah, so I was like, they're really speeding up the damage, with the Fury dice. So it's like you said, if you build for power and then you have Fury dice and then the map is on fire, you can just play till death. So I like that. I like that approach, and I think a lot of people will follow that approach. I see the lists that are hitting the Discords already. Some of them look,
they're definitely built for damage.
Yeah, shout out Eric R. and his Gargant list that he posted recently. I was just like, this looks like a list built to double turn and kill somebody. And it's just, and those new updates that they got, and we'll get into that here in a second, but those new updates they got, it's just incredible. Did you in your game have any Aqshy roller scrolls?
I did not run any Aqshy War Scrolls. I just ran. So Seraphon, they themselves got like a little update because, as you know, they don't have their battle tome yet. We're still waiting on the battle tome.
Right.
But they got like you can see for Scourge of Aqshy when all the new rules drop, they also just got like a little index buff. So now their Astericism, which they would used to pick, you would pick one in the very beginning of the game before when you would do a deployment phase. And then you would pick one in the 3rd battle round. Now you pick it every battle round, and basically you get to pick one for free. And then you have like a certain set of like things that you can accomplish to unlock another set of buffs.
Can you have more than one active at a time, or is it just one?
Yes, every time you turn it on, it's on. So it just
cool.
stays on. So in the beginning, I generally like to just go with the movement one. It's +2 to movement to all Seraphon units. So, you know what I mean? My Carnosaur is now running 12 inches. My Agrodons are now running 12 inches. My Raptidons are now running 14 inches. And then for my artifact I picked the artifact that gives cavalry and monsters another 2 inches, which puts my Agrodons now at 14 inches and my Carnosaur now at 14 inches. And then,
but none of this stuff is tied to the Aqshy stuff. It's all just stuff that's been there.
Nope, it's all just it wasn't there. Like they changed it. They changed the they changed even the artifacts and heroic traits of what we used to have to like a little more updated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
I did take one Aqshy thing. I did take was the monstrous trait because you can add a monstrous trait to the to monsters on Seraphon, and I added it to the Carnosaur where if he charges he can add +1, but on a 3-up he gets strike first. So or he gives an opponent strike last. I don't remember which one. And then he also has an ability where if he charges into a monster that has damage on him on a 3-up, he gets strike first. So that's actually kind of like the downfall of I was playing Tanner and his orcs. I let him. We deployed. I was 3 drops. He was 4 drops. So obviously I finished first. I deployed my guys back, but at the same time, we move. Like for Seraphon, I was moving 14 inches, and I had a lot of cavalry. I ran Carnosaur, reinforced Agrodons, reinforced Croxigors, the Skink Hunters, and the Skink Chargers. Those guys gave the Croxigors +1 to damage, which was pretty fucking gross. I ran a Slan and some Source Guard. So, every phase I was able to, like, hero phase, I was at least going to bomb you for a little bit of damage, and then also I give my Croxigors run in charge. I could really see at that point it was going to get out of hand because he moved all his stuff up when I let him go first. He moved all his stuff to the bid board.
And I apologize, Tanner, if you're listening, brother. I know we were supposed to have more of a teaching game, and I feel like we didn't really do a good job for you. But we're still figuring this out, and that's
a good call. I think is like we don't know, like me and you even don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah, we don't know how things will play out yet until we simulate it a few more times. So. It happens, but I saw it. Tanner moved his stuff to the mid board, and you came in with all those dinosaurs and ate his army up, bro. And
I think by the bottom of turn 1, I think I had like a 17 point. I was able to score both my tactics. I was still not able to get primary, which was hard.
Yeah, it is it's the pair objective thing. I always feel like when it's a pair objective like battle tactic, primary points. It's hard to score sometimes because people will naturally set up and saturate one of those pairs. And it's like, you're not going to throw your whole army at it for those 3 points, right? So, I felt the same way. Getting that primary was a little bit tough with the pair. But Josiah didn't struggle at all because he had the stupid rat holes. And, I only had like 8 dragons, so.
So he could just
pop one up and jump up out of it. And I was like, oh, you bastard. So armies that can teleport or have holes or can go through a silver tower or can swippy swappy with Zinch, like they're gonna have a fun time once again in this new GHB. You notice that the scoring is now like 3-3-4.
Yes, it's no longer hold 1, hold 2, hold more. Now it's like hold 1, hold more. And then hold 2,
a pair or whatever. Take one from your opponent. But I've seen that as primary. It's tough. It's tough. So again, I think until we figure this out, bro, your dinosaurs are powerful enough to just at least kill some shit until we get this thing figured out. It felt like my dragons ran the same way. Like I didn't know what to do, so like I'm just running into things and killing it. And I felt like Josiah, he was playing more towards the tactics and understanding a little bit better. So again, thank you, Josiah, for that game.
That's really good.
Thank you, Tanner, for coming out and playing this game with Robert. Like we're gonna figure this thing out. We're gonna make it more simple and easier to digest, and then we'll get back to everybody. But hey, if you are confused at this new GHB, if you tried it out over the weekend and you're just like, I don't get it, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Me and Grizzly are right there with you, brother. We're right there with the community. We too are like, nothing is so sure anymore. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great way to put it, because you're like, that was the one thing, like I told you, I was like anxious to even play the game, and then by the time I started playing, it was very much like nice. It's playing Warhammer, and that's my favorite, my favorite hobby to do. So once I came to that to mind, you know what I mean? Where it's like, dude, I'm doing the fun game I love doing with people I love doing this with. So it's always super nice then, but man, when you're really trying to relearn all that shit, it is so intimidating. It's so
Just imagine our next game, bro. We're gonna roll out the battle plan. We're not gonna like cherry pick the easy one to set up. Like we're actually gonna roll it out and like leave it to fate, and it's gonna pick like the hardest deployment one, and we're gonna just go, but set it up because I think there's a lot of fun to be had in this GHB, bro. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of like different ways to play your army on these battle plans. So I'm just happy it's here. I'm satisfied with the product. I think it's way too soon to be critical of it. It's way too soon to say it's the best thing ever. It's way too soon to say it's the worst thing ever.
Agreed.
We need to dig into this thing. You know what I mean? And I'm scared, Papa.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm so scared, Papa. But they dropped that they did the app update this week, which everybody was obviously waiting for. Like
I felt like every day everybody's like, did the update come? Where's the damn update?
Yeah, I remember there's a certain point. It's like there was like a meme where it's like Warhammer with like they dropped their 40K stuff, because Armageddon just dropped. Obviously, that's the big shiny new toy. I get it.
Yeah,
and then they're like, it's like I feel like I'm forgetting something. It's like Games Workshop. Like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And it's like, well, obviously it's not that important. And then it's just AOS over there in the corner, like, totally forgot about. And it's like, update our app, bro. We need these Scourge of Aqshy War Scrolls.
They're waiting for that last scoop of dinner out of the pot. They're like, I still need something. And they're like, oh, here you go, AOS. Forgot you were there.
I told you can have what's left. That's what they did to AOS this week.
Yeah, but
John Goodman.
They gave us that look at that new big ogre box. So
that's a great thing to actually talk into. Bringing up this week in Sigmar is the new ogre box. The new ogre box looks sick, bro. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is GW is trying to sell models right now. They know right now because there was a big drop during the Sylvaneth and Doc takeover, and then there was this nice little lull period, and now we're just boom in your face with these giant ogres, bro, which could be the very opposite of the Daughters of Cain and Sylvaneth. So it's like it's good, it's cool. Every Warhammer player has like this army that's like in the back of their mind that they're thinking about. Remember, mine used to be OBR. And then I got it. Yours used to be Seraphon, and then we got it. Now that for me has become the Ogre Ma tribes, and I know a lot of the community, a lot of the people in the Discord can relate with me. They're seeing these models and they're like, I think I like Ogre Ma tribes. I think I need my first destruction army. Some people are like, I think I need my 5th destruction army.
I need the final destruction army that I don't own.
And I hate them because, as much as we say that they don't give AOS as much love as, the other space side of things, they do always give us these really good like value boxes. They
give us the better models.
Yeah, the better models and then the value box. I feel like a Battle Force box and a Spearhead gets you right on the way to your army, bro. And it's gonna be hard not to buy. I don't have anything on Sprue right now. You know what a liberating feeling that is right now? Like it's not a gray pile. It's a built gray pile. I've upgraded to the primed pile. Everything's built and primed. But yeah, nothing is on Sprue.
It's all playable. It's all playable, baby.
It's all playable. It's not all battle ready by any means, but it's all playable. I can spend this whole GHB just experimenting with my different armies rather than building things. But it's tough because that ogre box it looks delicious, bro.
Delicious, yeah. You can eat it right up.
Get it. And then ask for seconds and thirds.
It's like a real ogre. Yeah.
But they're not the only winners. I know there's some big winners that came out with this new Scourge of Aqshy update. A lot of people came out and they're like, I'm satisfied. My stuff is strong. Everything is kicking ass again. So let's get into that. Let's talk about some of that.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a great transition to who are the real community winners of the new Scourge of Aqshy update? Now that we've heard what everybody's been talking around the Arizona tables, let's get into the factions that really stood out. These aren't necessarily the strongest armies in the game. These simply are the ones that, after talking with the community and reading through the rules ourselves, we kept coming back to. Some of these were obvious, a couple completely surprised me, and a few of these honestly made me want to start painting new armies. So let's go ahead and take first look at Scarecrow. You were looking at I'm sure you were looking at the Stormcast stuff. What's your take on the new Stormcast stuff?
Yeah, so everybody who listens knows that I'm a big Stormcast fan. So anybody who's into Stormcast or is thinking about Stormcast, listen up. A lot of new enhancements, a lot of new battle scrolls. I just the Scourge of Aqshy brought us a new enhancement, and it's called a new artifact called Blade of the Sixsmith, and I'm pulling that up right now because you just got to listen to this ruling. It's really, really good. And give me just a moment here. There it is. So pick one of this unit's non-companion melee weapons to be the target. For the rest of the turn, have the attack characteristics of the target weapon rounding up, but double the damage characteristic of the target weapon. Attacks made with the target weapon now score critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 3.
Holy shit, that seems crazy.
So
are you gonna run that?
Well, that begs the big question. It's like, do we now bring Lord Celestant? Do we put? Yeah, do we
bring in Drosta or no Celestant?
Right.
Yeah, any of those guys.
So it begs these questions, and that's just an amazing one. And not to knock on the other ones. So the other artifact we got was Fractured Astral Jewel. If an ability would heal or return any slain models to an enemy unit while it's within 6 inches of this unit, that ability does not heal any damage points, and no models are returned that are slain. So
you just kind of shut off things like Sylvaneth or Nurgle, like where they do nonsense.
Yeah, or even Skaven getting their clan rats back at the end of the turn. You know what I mean? So
skeletons, right? Soulblight that heals those stupid skeletons.
Correct. And then the last artifact we got was the Pennant of Azurite Majesty. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be a target. You can pick a friendly Stormcast unit wholly within 12 of this unit to be the friendly target. Spend 1 rage dice. If your opponent's fury level is lower than yours, you must increase their fury level by 1 to a maximum of 7. Then for the rest of the turn, while it is visible to this unit, subtract 1 from casting rolls and chanting rolls for the enemy target. Add 1 to casting rolls and chanting rolls for the friendly target.
I kind of like that.
So that's where you're trying to buff your battle mage. I could see a lot of people using that on Ionis or
Is it goes on priest or is it goes on wizards?
It's just an artifact, so it goes on any hero, but it's designed to be like, okay, my hero is now better, and I'm gonna make your hero weaker. So again,
that's sick.
It's hard when an artifact like Blade of the Sixsmiths is there, and it's gonna double your damage and make you crit on 3s to even look at those artifacts. But in addition to our already stellar, regular ones, Quicksilver Draft, Mirror Shield, Null Pendant. Those are great artifacts of power, and I know that every faction will have its own little in-lore name for it, but the Stormcasts, theirs is called Scars of War. So it's it's the enhancement that you can now put on a battle line. That's the new thing with Scourge of Aqshy, is a lot of armies will have a trait you can put on your battle line, and then it'll be called something unique to your faction. So
it's like an extra enhancement, almost like how you get like a heroic trait or an artifact, but it's something you can add just to like a battle line unit that's not a hero. which is I think pretty cool, pretty cool addition. You know, for like the new mechanic. Now I know not everybody got it, but fuck, you got some, I got some. So
and you can only attach it to one battle line unit, so you know it makes the one little unit of Liberators stand out amongst the ocean of them. And you know it makes this unit of Kurnoth much more important than every other unit of Kurnoth. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
we'll talk that down later when we start talking the Sylvaneth, but
right,
100% right. It becomes a very key thing.
And you can give us their lore, like what it's called. But for the Stormcast, it's called the Scars of War, and these are your options. They give you 3. The first being a passive called Uncaged Lightning. Each time an enemy unit in combat with this unit moves or is removed from the battlefield after that ability has been resolved, that enemy unit, if it's still in the battlefield and not in combat with this unit, inflict D3 mortal damage on it. So they're basically like, if you teleport away from the Stormcast, you'll take D3. That I know I don't really see a utility for. It's kind of really situational, but you know, it could incentivize it could decentivize like a person from moving their little foot hero when he's about to be killed.
Yeah.
Because you know it accounts for a retreat or whatever, and I like it because it seems like all of their stuff that they're getting, their enhancements, these Scars of War, it all seems like stuff that's supposed to counter the Skaven, and that's who they've been fighting this whole edition, right? Is the Skaven. So
yeah, that is actually really sick. If that's like, you know, I didn't consider that, but that's like super lorically accurate, like for what's going on right now. And you know, I will give them that for being like, dude, they're super lazy when it comes like to their writing. But like to this, they are actually very good at like relating like their lore to the gameplay, like this how Stormcast play, how a lot of the factions actually play out is pretty accurate to the lore. And then they have like these rules that it's like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense.
Well, I say all that to say this is the next one is called Veterans of Amberstone Watch.
All right, let's hear it.
It's just referencing like more Skaven stuff. But enemy units that have strike first do not have strike first. So enemy units do not have strike first keyword while they're in combat with this unit. So they can't possess the keyword strike first, no matter the spell or circumstance. But there's a designer note with it. Enemy units that have strike last would still have strike last. They would not be treated as having neither strike first nor strike last. So if a unit has strike last, it still accounts for that if they're in combat with the unit that has the Veterans of Amberstone Watch. But if, let's say, you have, strike first on a charge and you charge into this unit, now it just simply doesn't exist. So turning off strike first is major. It is.
So you just turn off people strike first?
I know, and I had to read it a couple times, and I'll give you the verbiage again.
Yeah, go through this one more time for me.
It's a passive that you would put on them. So it's not even situational. It doesn't activate. It's a passive, and it says effect. Enemy units do not have the strike first keyword while they're in combat with this unit. Designer note. Enemy units that have strike last would still have strike last.
Fair. Okay, fair. Okay.
So
wow. So you just turn off strike first.
Yes. So let's say you have a Storm Coven nearby, right? And a single unit of Reclusions nearby. And they get charged by 2 things. You know what I mean? And one of the things that charged them had strike first. And then you could, with the Storm Coven given the Reclusion strike first. So now you will be able to hit into them before they hit into you, because you'll be able to turn off a strike first just by existing. So I think that's really good. You put that on a big brick of Annihilators. You put that on Reclusions. You put that on Paladors. You can put that on anything, dude. Just being able to avoid strike first. That's pretty game shaking, and it's going to make that one unit just stand out. You're like, this is the unit that's immune to strike first. Like, put a golden beacon on them. So that's just amazing. And then the last passive they did was called Pyrotechnic Souls, and it's when this unit is destroyed, gain 3 rage dice. And it seems mad, right? All right.
Yeah.
But you send in some Aether Wings to take a point and then die, and then you get 3 rage dice out of it. It's not bad.
Or the Storm Drake, right? Or the Star Drake. Doesn't everybody kill a Star Drake?
I mean, it's got a lot of wounds, and that's a
Yeah.
lot of points. You want something like minimal points to die, some Griffhounds, you know what I mean? A little squad of Liberators that you could recur back. You can just gain 3 rage dice pretty quickly. I'm thinking like, you have Andraste and then some prosecutors.
Yeah. And the
Okay.
Aether Wings.
And
I
then
like what you said. The Aether Wings.
you send the prosecutors in knowing they're going to get popped, right?
Yeah.
Send the prosecutors in, let them die, and now you can spend the rage dice on Andraste. So, it's pretty cool. I like it, but again, you want that, or do you want to be able to turn off strike first permanently?
I mean, fuck, that's
they make it so tough, but yeah. So that's the Scars of War. And do you know about how they had the Scourge of Gairan War Scrolls and now they have the Scourge of Aqshy? They literally just copy and pasted Iridan over. So we don't really need to cover it. It's got everything that made it great last season and must take. It's the same points, the same War Scroll. It's a must take if you are using a lot of Ruination. It gives you a reroll on your Ruination keyword.
He does the kick flip and the -1 to hit, right?
Kick flip -1 to hit on a 3-up. You can on a 3-up give a Ruination unit +1 to rend. So Rend 2 reclusions are insane. Rend 2 prosecutors are insane. So a lot of utility there. But the Paladors, we'll talk about the Paladors. That's the one where we're like, okay, we got a little bit of heat here finally. So, Ramsey, what team is he on? You know who I'm talking about?
He's on Robert's team. He's on Robert's team, yeah.
He's on Robert's team, yeah. I'm forgetting your guys' team name right now. It's blanking my right now, but Ramsey, shout out to you. He's going to be excited because he's got a whole army of Paladors. But the new Paladors have an ability called Lightning Quick, where no mortal damage is inflicted on this unit when it retreats. So, okay, free retreats, obviously. But this is better. Shot Cavalry, once per turn, any combat phase. If this unit charged this turn, pick an enemy unit and combat it with both of the following units to be the target. This unit and a friendly unit that did not charge this turn. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for attacks that target enemy unit for the rest of the turn.
So wait, did they add the +1 to both of them, to them and the other guys that didn't charge?
No, it's only to themselves. So they're like rescue cavalry now, right?
Okay.
So and it can go off. It can go off on a counter charge too. It said any combat phase once per turn. So you can, and they have anti-infantry +1 rend and charge +1 damage already in the War Scroll. So now we're at damage 3 off the charge, rend 2. And that's on the lance and blades. And then you still have the companion, which is the 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. But you're looking at a good 20 to 26 damage being put out by these guys. And it's really, really easy, to get Stormcast into 2s.
Definitely all attack or Bastard Carthage does it for free.
Vigilors,
you know what I mean? Like it's Vigilors. Yes, you guys. That's one thing you're really good at that.
Absolutely. I think
I can give him +1 to hit or +1 to wound pretty easily.
I think a lot of people will start using a lot of people were using the Ruination one where it gives you a 5-up ward, and I use that a lot in the start of the edition, but. Going over to synchronized strikes from the Thunderhead host where you get +1 to things that, are not from the warrior chamber if they're nearby. That's just really good, on an army that everything is a 3-up. So I like this. I think with these new artifacts and these enhancements and Palador's getting a buff in strength, we're going to see a shake up in lists. I'm interested to hear from the community, what unit are you attaching this Blade of the Six Smiths with? Like, what is the absolute unit? I have to believe it's Lord Celestin, right? It's the Celestin Prime. I feel like it has to go on the Celestin Prime, or something of that ilk. You know what I mean? some huge hero. But
Wait, can you
yeah,
can you attach it to a named hero? Does it have to be a hero, or what does it have to be? What is it?
I mean, I feel like you can't put artifacts on named heroes, right?
Yeah, so isn't Celestine Prime is a hero, right? Like a named hero,
Oh,
kind of.
that's right. I think
Can't do Andraste. What else then? What are we looking at? Can't do Gardas.
can't do
You can
Gardas.
do
That's right.
Lord Veritan.
Terminus would be really good.
Lord Terminus.
Now you're making the
Lord-
damage 6.
Ooh, and I think he only hits like 1 or 2 anyways.
It's crit mortals too,
Yeah.
and then it makes you crit on 3s.
Crits on 3s. Yes.
3s are crit mortals, and it's
Is that what
flat
it's supposed to
six.
go on? Is that what it's supposed to go on? You know what I mean? It's like now that we say that, like, is that what it's supposed to be?
It makes sense. He does have an impressive axe
He
or
does-
giant
he does.
greatsword, depending on how you build him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we might have just answered
Got
the
a
question.
big axe or a great sword. It just
Yeah,
sounds
that might be the
kinda
one.
sus.
The Stormcast have so many lords. They have so many knights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can go down the list of unnamed heroes, but yeah,
They
it
got-
gives us a chance to explore
Yeah.
who
They got
do we
big
put
axes.
who do we put these new artifacts on? Because before it was always the Quicksilver draft. Everyone's like, I want to just drink this
Yeah.
juice and have strike first.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that? You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think like being able to like having your attacks is it's brutal. If you only have like 4 attacks, now you're only gonna have 2. But critting on 3s, and if your damage is 6 or 4, it's okay. You're gonna hit at least one of those. So if not both. So it's a good time to be the Stormcast. I think they made out really well. It's good because we haven't had anything new or fresh in a long time, and being the first army that gets its battle tome, like it's hard to shake up the meta. But I think these new the new tactics, the new battle plans, and everything we just covered from the Scourge of Aqshy, it's going to do well for the Stormcast. It's going to give us Stormcast players something new to do with the models that maybe we weren't taking. I know there's already models that I want to take that I wasn't taking before.
I'm happy you feel that way, because I felt like with the Stormcast, like the Paladors, a lot of people, I know you don't run Paladors, and it's like we don't have a lot of Stormcast in our meta, but from like what I've like read and what I hear from other like metas like outside of ours, a lot of people run Paladors. Obviously Ramsey runs a lot of Paladors. So I think it'll be really sick for him, you know what I mean? That when he's like, I'm going to do these ones. The one thing I'm not a big fan of as far as them, I love you guys got a bunch of really good enhancements. I think all your enhancements are really good. Like, even like the shitty one is still pretty good, like just to get for free, which, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, even like the bad one is still pretty good.
I think I don't have any complaints with them. You know what I mean? I like the Scourge of Grand ones. I like the Scourge of Aqshy ones. I'm glad they're giving the Golden Boys love.
They're doing a great job. I love it. I'm not the biggest fan of the new Paladors, the War Scroll. I just don't like how it has to have so many
situational stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's 100. Like this has to happen, then this has to happen, and it seems like if you look at the battle tactics, which like actually corroborates much more with it, because you'll see there's a lot of like tactics where it's like scoring. It's like, you got to be charging somebody that didn't move or something, like some weird thing. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like that's why they gave them the free retreat, right? It's to help you kind of get off the charge, even if you like misplayed like deployment or movement. They're like, okay, you can unfuck that situation and still get this ability off by getting a free retreat. So,
One especially, that's why I think I think it's cool. I like them. I just don't like when it has to have so much stuff to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of sucks.
I feel like the situational rescue, like that it requires a unit to be in combat, and then like you charge in and help it out. It just kind of then what? Now the Paladors are vulnerable. Now you know exactly where my Paladors are gonna go. Like
exactly. That's
it's
exactly.
tough. But hopefully Ramses or another adept Palador player can prove us wrong and be like, oh no, on 3 damage, these things are just deleting everything they go into, and we'll be like,
I do want to see that. I want to see
that.
You know what I mean? I 100% want to see that.
They're like, I'm just setting up Liberators, and even if just one survives, I'm rescuing them with Paladors, and they're coming in with like 3 damage, 2s into 3s.
And I'll give you that.
Rating
Your
on
Stormcast are
3.
like notorious for keeping one model alive. Like, oh, it's just
Yeah,
one
you know,
left, and he's still. I'll give you that. I will give you that. It is like they're rescuing them.
There's been so many situations where, like, yeah, you got it down to 1 Vanquisher, you got it down to like 2 Liberators, right?
Bro,
And I was
so
like,
many times. So
at
many
that
times.
point, they don't have any utility or purpose. They're literally just holding a thing that can't move now for a second. But with these rescue Paladors, it gives you a chance to not only rescue that one unit, you know, then be able to rally it back or you know,
exactly.
Get it to a place where it can still be useful. Yeah, I can see why they did it. I want some Paladors, man. I need some Paladors. I got Palador fever.
And also,
what was that? What was that?
I will say they're fucking sick models.
Yeah,
they're very dope. You know what I mean? I think they're like old 2nd generation models, but they're pretty sick.
look, like 2 words for you, bro. War chickens.
Yes, the mighty chocobo, the spicy. You're like, yeah, you ready for a cockfight? That's you. That's gonna be you.
But you know, tell me about the Sylvaneth and what they got and break that down for me.
I mean, actually, yeah. So we'll move on from Sigmar's finest down to the forest. We got, I think, some really fun stuff. I know you did your War Scrolls last. I want to do mine first. I think we got 2 pretty good War Scrolls. They're kind of expensive, which if you've seen any of the like updates that they did for the Sylvaneth, as everybody, you know, we're paying for our sins. Nothing's cheap anymore. It's all expensive. We got hit pretty hard in the battle points, and it's not terrible. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was happy that I was running like all of my lists like short. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like now I do feel like, oh, that's actually I'm fine. You know, but like Dryads went up 100 to 100. Spite Revenants went up to 100. Like we don't have any more like 90-point models that are legal.
Yeah. You know, I feel like Sylvaneth still aren't done shining. They've still got.
Oh no. Yeah. I feel like I'll still do.
I think. Yeah.
They still are really great, especially now. Like we've already talked about earlier. You were talking about with the rats, how you can't charge the terrain. Like, you can't charge Sylvaneth terrain. Like that's enormous. I was very excited for that. But you know what? I really wanted to play my new Seraphon. I'm really trying to build into this and like focus into that. I hope you loved my Carnosaur. You saw my Carnosaur. He was sick, huh? He went through fucking.
Carnosaur is sick.
He ate all that good shit. He ate all the Tanner stuff.
It was stark juxtaposition to the rest of the army, and I was like, my boy has a lot of work to do. And look,
it sure was. It sure was.
I was like, that is a beautiful model in a sea in the ocean of gray.
In the ocean of gray, you can see you're like,
she's like, we know who's in
I want
charge
to
here.
nice.
This fucking guy right here. I think we know who's in charge here.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those like, I guess it's very blatantly obvious who the real threat here is.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I think that you're gonna have a blast playing them this GHB.
I agree, but like it's gonna be so hard, especially because then, like I said, let's get into the new Sylvaneth ones, the new War Scrolls. We got these new Kurnoth Hunters, right? Kurnoth Hunters with swords. One thing that's kind of like I'm not a big fan of, 240 points. That's quite for 3 of them is not very good. But they do keep their -1 to Ren when they're in the creeping corruption, the creeping overgrowth, which, you know, if you're a Sylvaneth player, you know you're staying in the creeping overgrowth no matter what. The swords actually push out a little bit. Their big thing that changes now, once per turn at the end of any turn, this unit is not in combat. It can move a distance up to its move characteristic. And that's movement within the creeping overgrowth and not in combat. So, you know, there's different ways where you can actually adjust their movement. One of which is with Belfanos. Belfanos gives all Kurnoth +2 to move. Right?
Wow.
So now your Kurnoth is 6 to 8, right?
Massive difference.
Next thing, the big thing we were talking about here, we'll finish the War Scrolls. After that, we got our Scourge of Aqshy Tree Lord Ancient, which I think is pretty cool. I thought, I felt like when they wrote like the book, they were really trying to push for people to be really good with Tree Lords and like want to run more Tree Lords.
That way.
It did. It like look like that's like what's like. Hey, everybody run tree lords, but run big trees, right? Like, and you know what? I ran big trees all last like season before we updated.
I
So I
remember
just like
that.
I just like wasn't. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah, original General's Handbook. You were all about having
Bro,
4
two
tree
or three
lords
tree lords. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Durthu. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. It's like there's like 3
yeah,
tree lords and then Durthu. There might be 2 Durthus. Like, you know,
yeah.
that was like my thing. So, but
I
just
remember the
look like
double Durthu list.
it's
Yeah,
nasty. Yeah,
it's
like
nasty.
you're nasty. Yeah,
But yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna see. I think that's gonna reawaken the all tree lords and
Yeah.
tree lord ancient lists, bro.
I mean, we'll see. So it's basically same, you know, same war scroll, same shooting, same fighting, 6-inch move, 14 health, 3 up save, 5-inch control, 5 control, same as like in all tree lords.
Yeah,
The big thing is once per turn hero phase, each time you make a casting roll for this unit, add D3 to the roll. You're basically guaranteeing the cast goes off with him.
yeah.
You can also add the spell singer heroic trait, which gives him +1 to casting. So now he's potentially
+1
plus
and a
four,
D3.
plus
Wow.
4. So it's like all the super spells are going off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so, that's pretty nice. He also got his own war scroll spell.
Okay.
Pick this unit that's visible, friendly, wicked, wildwood, or within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Until the start of your next turn, ignore the effects of an enemy's spell on units friendly and enemy while they're within 6 inches of the target. So if you pick like a friendly unit, like you just kind of
Mhm.
shut off magic within 6 inches
Okay.
of him. And then weapons used by enemy manifestations have a maximum attack characteristic of 1 while they're within 6. You know, it goes off on a 7. Doesn't sound great. Granted, when he rolls it, it's going to go off on like a 3. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like he's gonna get +4 basically, or +2 or 3, a
That's
minimum
gonna really
+2.
nerf some things like a Kron Spine, most of
Yeah,
the Daughters of Cain manifestations.
the
It does sound
IDK
very.
manifestations. You're
It
correct.
does
You're
sound
that's actually
situational,
I never
but
considered that. I never
yeah,
considered that. But
there's a
against
lot of
doc, where we
damage in
really struggle with,
manifestations these days,
yeah.
bro.
We also got a new set of artifacts. 3 new artifacts. This one they're not bad, man. I actually really like them. You know, one of them is literally is a reprint of last season. It's but now it costs 20 points, which is
Mm.
that sucks. But it's that glamour weave is back, which I used to always give Durthu, where he can
Yes.
re-roll the hit, re-roll the wound, and re-roll to save every phase.
Yeah,
So
man.
it's like, oh, that's pretty sick. But it is
Rerolls
20
are already so rare in Sigmar, and you get one
yeah,
of each flavor. That's fucking ridiculous.
in every phase.
Every
So which is
oh
nice.
my gosh.
Yeah. But this one, another one we have is the Dancing Mystifies. If this unit is not a wizard, it has an unbind as a wizard 1, and then if he successfully combines a spell within the creeping overgrowth, he inflicts that amount of damage on equal to the caster, the difference between the casting roll and the unbinding roll, to a maximum of 6.
So
So
you
it's like,
put that on.
say I unbind on you and you're in the creeping corruption, and it's
Mhm.
like you rolled a spell of 4, right? And I rolled a fucking an 8. Like that's
And it
4
says if
more.
you're not a wizard, it lets you unbind as if you're a wizard 1. So I feel like you're supposed to
Yeah,
put that on the Grove Guardian.
yeah, exactly. Say like you run just like all priests. That's
Yeah.
actually really smart.
Put on a Warsong
Um,
Rev. Yeah, nice.
Last one is called the Amulet of Resonance, which end of any turn. This is one of the ones that helps like for the rage mechanic. If this unit used the Eruption of Fury ability this turn and you spent any rage dice as part of the Fight Through the Pain ability, when the resolving damage sequence of this unit is turned, give 1 ritual point for each visible friendly Sylvaneth priest within 12 inches of this unit. So it sounds like we got another different type of like like buff like currency to
Yeah.
spend, I guess.
No, that
Uh,
makes perfect sense.
we also got remember how you were talking about like some armies got like that new enhancement for non-hero
Yes.
units. So like your battle line, like your
Yeah. What's
infantry,
yours
your
called?
cavalry. Yeah. This one is we got 3 of them. This one is non-hero non-monster Sylvaneth units. So that
Nice.
could be your Kurnoth. That's going to be your
Absolutely.
bugs. You know what I
Yep.
mean? That's going to be your dryads
This is a
or
special battle line unit.
yes. The first one is aspect of the harvest boon. Add 2 inches to the move characteristic of this unit while it's within the creeping over the growth. I think that's going to pair really well with those new
Kurnoth.
the new Kurnoth swords.
They
So
did
now
that
it's going to
for
be
10
10 inches at the end of turn. That's
What?
nasty. You're
They're
nasty.
they're moving like horses now.
Yeah, they're moving like Have you ever watched Family Guy?
Yeah, of course.
You ever seen when Cleveland falls out of the house when he's like, no, 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 no? Yeah, that's how they're gonna be moving. Moving
Their
out
one
the tail.
Achilles heels was that they couldn't move very far. They have like what a 5.
Yeah, yes, it's a 6-inch movement, and now it's like not only will they get to move theirs if they don't fight, which they're trying to fight, they get to move another 10 inches potentially. Like that's insane. So it's just one of those like, say that they do it in your turn. That seems pretty gnarly.
Yep, I could see that.
Gnarly.
I could see that.
Once per turn, end of your turn. So it's got to be end of your turn.
Okay. So there's some limitation here.
So there's limitation, but that would be
Still-
terrifying.
Still very powerful. Adding movement to Kurnoth is just already a problem for the opponent.
It does seem pretty gnarly. The other two, we also got these 2 other aspects, which what's crazy is like the movement is so good, but these other 2 I also think are really good. So I don't think the movement is necessarily like the auto pick.
Okay.
First one, when resolving damage sequence for a unit, if you spend rage dice as part of the fight through the pain, you can re-roll any of the dice that determined whether the damage points are removed from this unit's damage pool. So it's basically a ward for your fight through the pain, which is essentially a 3-up ward.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that's fucking dude, that's gnarly. You're like, I'm gonna ward my 3-up ward with another ward.
Jeez.
Like, okay. After the damage sequence has been resolved, if you rolled a total of 10 on those rerolls, this ability has no effect for the rest of the battle. So you got to be careful.
Wow. Okay, so you can't you can't abuse the shit out of it.
I mean, kind of. It still feels like you could really abuse the shit out of it.
It's strong. It's strong. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Last one is once per battle reaction, you declare the endless growth ability. So that's whenever you heal at the end of turn, right?
Okay.
If this unit is wholly within the creeping overgrowth, for each target that ability that is wholly within 12 inches of this unit, you can pick one of the following. So whenever I heal, if you're within 12 inches of this unit,
this might happen as well.
Yeah. When resolving this ability, roll a d6 for the target instead of a d3. As a result of another ability, you would heal 3 to the target instead of rolling a heal 6 instead. You know what I mean? Wow. So instead of like, I always get to heal like dirt through a d3. I can heal on d6. Or if the target is a Kurnoth, instead of rolling a d3 and picking one of the effects of that ability, you can return 1 slain model to the unit. So once per battle, you can return a Kurnoth unit.
And then if you do the creeping overgrowth token, then you could have 2 back.
I mean, I think that to use the creeping overgrowth, you have to lose a whole unit. But I think, you're not wrong. You could potentially like stack it that way. Say you did like a reinforced unit and 1 died, and then you had a unit of 3 and they all died, then you could spend 1 and bring 1 back.
Yeah, okay. I think they're really pushing for people to play Kurnoth, and they didn't need to. We've always said the Kurnoth were must play.
Yeah, these are the best things that they're gonna play. You know what I mean? Like, I think I will say, man, like the Kurnoth they got like that. They got a big win, in my opinion, as far as like the Aqshy stuff. Like we got a bunch of new stuff for Sylvaneth that's all really, really good. I really like it. I thought, like I said, I think for a lot of the Aqshy stuff I was looking at, some of it is like totally not great. Totally sucks actually. Some of it blows. But for the Sylvaneth, we got really good. I think Stormcast, you guys did pretty good.
I think we're both pretty happy with our primary army's Aqshy support.
Yeah. let's go ahead and take a look at the art, like another army that we thought did pretty well. Well, at least I know Colin was giving a couple shout outs. I know one thing, Colin, our boy from the show, he was saying, I know he's an OBR player, you know what I mean? And he was saying that they got the crit 2 hits back. That's kind of how he simplified it. Can you go ahead and break that down for us? Like, let's go ahead and break down their modifications. What enhancements did they get? What war scrolls did they get? If you want to go ahead and pull that up for me,
Absolutely. So remember, I said they're all going to have their like in lore name for what the enhancement is for the battle line, and for the OCR Bone Reapers, it's going to be Mortison Refinements, and this is where we can get into how the crit 2 hits came back. You can give perpetually empowered weapons for 10 points to a unit. This unit's melee weapons, including companion weapons, have crit 2 hits. So now for 10 points, you can give a battle line unit, horses, Archai, Harbingers, something nasty. Give it crit 2 hits and then go crazy. But let's say you want something different. They got add 1 to charge rolls for this unit through elongated tibias, which is just a hilarious name, right?
Yeah. I thought you were fucking with me. I'm not gonna lie.
For 10 points, you can have elongated tibias and add 1 to your charge rolls. So I could see a lot of people giving that to Archai or Harbingers. Guarantee that charge.
Are you for real? You have elongated tibias, so elongated your ankles are basically longer.
Bro,
and now you get 1 inch to charge. You
got the stride of an ostrich after getting this procedure done. Yeah. The Mortarks are in there like, you need longer legs.
Yeah, you went from like a dwarf to like a to an ostrich.
They're like, you look taller, Steve. He's like, I got my knees done. But yeah, so if you want what do you want? You want crit 2 hits on you and your companions, or you want 1 to charge?
Yeah. That's both sound pretty solid, especially depending on what can you attach these to? Is this the same thing where it's like another
any non-hero?
Non-hero, okay.
Non-hero OCR Bone Reapers unit. It can be a monster.
The 7th one, you can't be a monster. That sucks.
A unit can only have 1 Mortison Refinement. That is the only limitation. So you could put this on a Gothazar Harvester if you wanted. The last thing you could give is a passive, right? And this passive is called Utterly Unquestioning. It's also 10 points. So all of their Mortison Refinements cost 10 points. Each time this unit uses a Relentless Discipline ability, roll a dice as a reaction. On a 5-up, subtract 1 from the number of Relentless Discipline points that must be spent to use that ability.
That's pretty sick.
That is really sick, especially because some of the more useful heroes don't generate that many Relentless Discipline points.
Yeah.
And I know that I've played OBR through Colin, a friend of the show, and he said that he's run it with 5, with 6, just like 5 or 6 Relentless Discipline points. You just have to be smart where you use it. So having a chance to refund it, you know what I mean? And it's passive. So, you can use it in different phases. So, on the movement, off the charge, as battle reaction. And
every time you use it, correct, 100%. And every single time you use those Relentless Discipline points, you're going to get to re-roll it. Like, that's sick on a 5-up.
And we know that a 5-up goes off as long as it's not combat. Right? As long as it's not shooting or combat, a 5-up is good for some reason. It's just that Warhammer logic that just baffles the mind. Like a 5-up ward, I literally did it in my game with Josiah. He's like, none of this is going to go through because I saved all but like 4 hits. And I was like, okay, 4 wards. And he's like, you're going to get them all. And only 5-up. And of course I got them all. And I was like, I'm not doing it on purpose, bro. And he's like, no, that's just what you do. It's annoying. And I was just like, yeah, I know. So a 5-up is going to go off. So now you're telling me a 5-up is refunding my Relentless Discipline point? Yes, please. Because Relentless Discipline is the whole shtick of the army. The crit 2 hits is so hard to pass up on. I get it. Crit 2 hits. You just hear crit 2 hits and your heart begins to sing. You hear crit 2 hits and you remember what your favorite candy tastes like. Crit 2 hits is just awesome, all right? But there's utility for this, all right? Relentless discipline points. They are finite, they go quick, and they don't carry over into the next battle round.
And
So
they do a lot. It's like, dude, like I know what every
much.
combat phase you're basically gonna give somebody a 5-up board.
5-up board,
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
or plus
every
1 to
turn, basically every turn I've played against OBR. It's that.
Yes. So abso-friggin-lutely, those were the Mortison refinements. You know, along with the Mortison refinements, they got some artifacts of power. And the artifacts of power are the relics of the Empire. The first one is the Banner of Old Ossia. And when resolving that command, it says, reaction. You declared the rally command for a visible Osiarch Bone Reaper's unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit.
So when you rally that Ossia.
Yeah, rally with that power of Ossia. When resolving that command, you can spend rally points in the following additional ways. So
shit. Okay.
And rally points. Yeah, this is cool. For each rally point spent, heal 1. Another visible, friendly, non-hero Osiarch Bone Reaper's unit wholly within 12 of this unit. You can spend a number of rally points equal to the health characters of that unit and return a slain model to a visible, friendly Osiarch Bone Reaper unit that is wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So what it's saying is for each rally point spent for heal, you get another rally point for heal. Yeah. Okay, so let's say you spike and you get 4 rally points. That is 8, all right? And we know that with the Mortison Bone Shaper, you can return 3 Mortek Guard if you would return 1. So we're talking 16 Mortek Guard if you can hit 4 rallies on the roll. Yes, please. Yes, please. You know, I know that Zach from House of Hobbies, shouts out to you, Zach. He loves running a lot of Mortek Guard. Like has a list in mind for running a lot of Mortek Guard. So I could see him, you know, rubbing his hands together, looking at this this artifact. Like that could go right into my strategy. So yeah, I love that a lot. And then their next artifact is a movement one. It's called the Scarabaean Cloak.
You gotta always love free movement. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Scarabaean Cloak. It rolls right off the tongue.
Yep. Scarabaean Cloak.
That's right. That Scarabaean Cloak. Remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up again more than 9 inches from all enemies. A flat teleport, son.
Oh, let's go. Okay.
And I want to know.
Once per battle? Once per battle?
Once per battle, your movement phase. You're right.
Yeah. Okay.
But how did they put that cloak on 6 Morghast Harbingers?
It's just 1 unit, though?
It is. It's an artifact of power, so, you know, it's going to be on a hero. It's going to be on a hero.
Non-hero,
but,
right? Oh, it's a hero?
It's a hero. You know, it's an artifact. It's an artifact, so it's got to go on a non-named hero. But a non-named hero is going to be able to just teleport a la Stormcast style, just instant transmission a la Goku leaving his family.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty that's pretty good, bro. That's pretty good, bro.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. I like it. As someone who utilizes the once per battle teleport pretty regularly, it's a ton of fun, especially if you can bring another unit with you. But even the once is really nice, especially for this is what OBR we're talking about.
OBR. So any all of the Mortison Shapers, Ossifactors, Soul Masons, they're going to be able to teleport, right? And right now the Mortison Bone Shaper is one of the most important key utility pieces. It's the one that brings the Mortek Guard and Triaxes back from the grave. It's the one that gives them that additional rally roll that I was talking about. You really want to keep that unit safe. So being able to be like, oh, danger's closing in, we're gonna just teleport this Bone Shaper on the other side of the board, and then he can start reviving his stuff within 12 of him and setting up somewhere.
Imagine just like alpha striking in the archive. You know what I mean? That seems gross. Or no, it's got to be a hero, huh?
Gotta be a hero, bro. But and you know the heroes are all very tech PC in OBR. You know, you're even thinking right now off the top of your head, you don't see a big damage piece in your mind. It's
Nope.
because what they are they're mostly like magic pieces that are tech utility. So being able to get your because they're fragile, man. You know, they save
They're
on
not like an
4.
Alpha Strike army. They're
Yeah, they
definitely
say the heroes that you would put it on, like the Soul Mason and the Ossifector and the Bone Shaper. They're little foot heroes, little foot wizards. You want to be able to get them just out of trouble. You want to be able to just be like, all right, danger's
Yeah.
closing again, get them out of there. And
That's
if you
fair.
don't go with that, you can go with the Soul Web Gem. This is a once per battle end of any turn, but it is
Okay,
once
that's
per
good.
battle. This unit can only use this ability if it was destroyed this turn. I see some resurrection coming. Set up a replacement unit identical to this unit on the battlefield, wholly within friendly territory and not in combat. Then allocate a number of damage points to the replacement unit equal to the health characteristic -1. Ward rolls cannot be made for those damage points.
Okay, nice. I like that. I like
You
when you
have to
can't
roll
ward
its
damage.
health, right? And then it might take some damage, but you straight bring your wizard back after it died. Amazing. And it comes back just somewhere else too.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's
Amazing.
like especially right now, free movement is like I don't know, free movement is like that's my cheat code to like when I'm playing this game for me to do
Yeah.
good. It's like what kind of free nonsense can I get it like a pile in, bro? That's an extra 3 inches to everybody. That's crazy. Take just all right, I'll take an extra 3 inches. Come this way. Nice.
You know, you're saying my liege freaking my liege Cavalos can just come right back. You're telling me that my liege Mortec
Yeah.
on a war chariot can just come right back? Like that's awesome, dude. I think that being able to just stand right back up like I didn't really just die is perfectly okay for the OBR, bro. And it makes and you know when you tell somebody like, oh, just so you know, he has an artifact on him that when he dies he will come right back. It makes you go, well, I'm not gonna fucking commit to this asshole anymore. Like, all right, well, let me go see who else it will just die once then. Like, so
I will say it is the worst feeling ever when you have that on a 3-up comes back and you fail the 3-up and you're like, dude.
yeah,
It's that meme,
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like an artifact that just lets you stand back up, no roll required, no check involved.
Yeah.
Good artifact. And you know that brings us to our war scrolls, which is a short section. Okay,
Yeah.
We got 2 war scrolls. All right, we got
What they get.
Scourge of Aqshy, Vok Morton, Master of the Bone Tithe. We got to talk about this because Vok is the man. Awesome, sexy model.
I will say before you get into it, it's crazy that they would redo his war scroll because his war scroll already just seems like, dude, that's good. Like nobody needs to fuck with that one. But go ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's hear it.
They're like, you know what? We put a commercial out for Vok, so people are gonna buy this model.
Which is just already really good. He's like a better Be'lakor.
Yeah, dude, he's a wizard too. Has a 6-up ward, produces 2 relentless discipline points, and he's got a shot and a melee. His shot is 3s and 2s, and it does damage D6, so it can either be a lot or it can be a little. And his melee is 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, Ren 1 damage D3. So you know, not a pushover, but you know he could do a little bit of something. But what we're here for is his abilities. Your hero phase, Master of the Bone Tithe. Your opponent must pick one of the following effects. And I love that he's like, here's your list of fuck yous. Decide which one you want.
Yeah, you get to pick how you get fucked.
1. Inflict D6 mortal damage to the target. How often are you picking that one, Robert?
Yeah.
All right. Option number 2. Until the start of your next turn, the target cannot be healed or have slain models returned to it to be replaced.
Okay.
All right, that's a little bit less punishing. And that's your 2 options.
that's what you get to pick. Yeah. So it's just that Vok motion, like just
He's like, you take D6 or you make it so you
Do you
cannot
like
be healed.
this? Or he's like, do you like this? Oh no, you don't like that. Oh yeah, we're gonna. You can pick. Yeah,
And there's no limitation to it. It simply cannot be healed now.
yeah.
Alariel simply cannot be healed anymore.
Yep. She can't be brought back.
Yep.
Models
All
can
right.
come back. Yeah.
So
Till the next
for
turn.
you, that's a hard ass choice. Like, fuck, can it be healed or do I take the D6?
D6. We're gonna take the D6, then we're gonna heal D3.
See,
That's what
so
we're
like
gonna do.
that's a good.
I'm
That's
just
so
telling you, that's what Sylvaneth is doing. But yeah, that still sucks.
okay. There's also this: deny the Osiarch their rightful due. Pick one of the following effects.
Let's hear it.
I gain 4 relentless discipline points.
All right. All
And
right.
I pick an objective I do not control for the rest of the turn. I add 5 control scores to all friendly Osiarch Bone Reapers until they are contesting that objective.
Damn, that's actually pretty good.
Yes, so you're just adding 5 control score to any Osiarch Bone Reaper that stands on that objective. Yes.
Yeah.
And the last one is units while they're contesting that objective for the rest of the turn add 2 to the attack's characteristics and add 6 to the range characteristics of this unit's gaze of death. That's its, that's the D6 shot that it has. So you either pay the tithe, which is inflicting D6, or make it so you can't heal or come back. That's the first 2 choices.
Those are your choices. Yeah.
So that's paying the tithe. That's being a good, citizen and paying your tithe to the Mortarchs. Or you can deny the Osiarchs their rightful due. And then I get to pick one of these following, right? Gain 4. Or, turn off and give 5 more control score on an objective. And I make my characteristics of whatever lands there 2 more attacks. So it's basically saying, hey, all my stuff's going to go over there and it's going to wreck what was over there. You know what I mean? So you might as well pay the tithe.
If you don't give me what I'm owed,
so you might as well pay the tithe.
I'm gonna do this.
Yes. So
I think that's fucking sick. Actually, this should be part of their rules. Like
it makes Bach move that castle forward and it just makes it scary, bro. So yeah, I think everyone's gonna be using Vok. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, he sounds good.
Everybody's gonna be using Vok. He does have cowed into inaction on your hero phase on a 7-up, and you know that the casting is great in Osiarch Bone Reapers. Pick a visible enemy hero with an 18 of Vok. Until the start of the next turn, each time an enemy unit within the target's combat range uses a command, unless the opponent spends 1 rage dice to use that command, the command has no effect. It still counts as have been used, and the command points spent to use it are lost.
So you have to spend not only a command point, but a rage dice.
And a rage dice, yes. And we know rage dice are attacks. We know that they are wards. We know that you can't use any more than 3.
That's some diabolical shit right there. That's nasty.
And you'll notice that a lot of these Scourge of Aqshy War Scrolls have rage dice or rage mechanic or fury mechanic written into the War Scroll. It's thematic. It's there. I think that for the Osiarch Bone Reapers to be able to just generate 5 relentless discipline points.
5 RDP, that's sick.
If you deny the tithe, they can choose that. You deny the
that's
tithe.
Crazy.
It was 4. I'm sorry, it was 4. You gain
Even
4
then,
there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And remember, we talked about the artifact earlier that generated relentless discipline. So now they have reliable ways to farm relentless discipline instead of just needing to bring Catacross for his 10 or needing to bring, Arcan the Black for his 7. Those were the standard right there. That's 10 or 7 relentless discipline points, whether you're that or that. So I think this is really good to complement kind of that War Scroll. They've got the new Mortis Reapers, the Scourge Grant Mortis Reapers. They're the Mortis Reapers you know and love. 6 inches of movement, 5-up save, 6-up ward, anti-hero +1 rend, so it'd be rend 2 and 1 damage into a hero. 3 attacks, 3s into 4s, and it's 5 units MSU, 10
Yeah.
reinforced. But their ability is this: terminate their command. If this unit is in combat, so the Mortis Reapers, pick a visible enemy hero within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. If the target is more than 3 inches from all other enemy units, apply the effects below. Roll a dice. On a 3-up, apply this effect. Remove this unit and set it up 1 inches from that target. So,
All right, that's pretty
you charge in
interesting.
with Mortis Reapers into a battle line unit. They have a wizard that is, within 12 because they'll need all those buffs from it, but it's further than 3 inches away. You
Okay.
teleport right to it. You just jump the line. You jump the screen. You know what I mean?
Wait. You can teleport to an opponent, an enemy wizard?
If this unit is in combat, so you charge into a screen, right? I charge
Okay.
into your dryads. Okay? Pick a visible enemy hero within 12 inches of the unit to be the target. If the target is more than 3 inches from all other enemy units, apply the effect below. So, if it's 3 inches,
If he's by himself, yeah.
if he's by himself, 3 inches away, you apply the effect below. Otherwise, if he's right next to that unit, like, base to base with him, you have to roll a 3-up. But let's say you get the 3-up. You simply teleport within 1 inch of it. So you could jump the dryads right into the Arch Revenant, right? You could jump the dryads right into Durthu, right? You wouldn't want to do that, but you could do that.
Yeah.
But and then it has the coldness of death, end of any turn. If an enemy hero was destroyed by this unit's combat attacks this turn, your opponent must reduce their fury level to 0.
Ooh.
So these Mortis Reapers are designed to hop screens and kill foot heroes.
Okay. Yeah, nice. That's pretty sick. So it's like you're like pushing through things. I do like that.
So remember, they were hopping over terrain to secure objectives, and they don't have enough staying power to do that. So they were like, let's give them a different role. And I like this because I think that with foot heroes being cheap and needed to generate fury points, everybody's going to have like 1 or 2, maybe, 3, depending on the army. I know myself, I switched to foot heroes during the Scourge of Gyran. You know that. So I was like, this is a good ability. It isn't as cool as Vok was, but I think this is a good way to get used to those Mortis Reapers, bro. I mean, I went out and bought a box.
Definitely.
I
like
those
that.
motherfuckers right here. So
let's go.
Yeah, so the little 5 wound hero, you can't hide it behind that screen anymore. The Mortis Reapers are coming. So yeah, that's all that there is for the OBR. But again, I think that it covers the weak aspects that the army was missing. It gives you relentless discipline points to farm. It gives you damage in the form of crit 2 hits. It gives you utility in the form of this hero can just come right back. So I have no complaints as an OBR hopeful player. I think that the army's in a good place. That they're a sophisticated army, bro. You got to have your fingers together like this. You got to be thinking like Charles Xavier when you're playing the OBR. But they're worth it, bro. I just have a feeling they're worth it, and I can't wait to try to represent them.
Yeah, no, they look super sick. I'm really happy that they gave even in the lightest faction the crit 2 hits back a little bit, because I know that's like one thing that like when they changed the book, the battle tome, that was like a big gripe.
That was the big cry out. Like,
we lost our crit 2 hits.
Yes. So being able to put that on any unit that is not a hero, amazing. Amazing.
Very nice. But I think that's a great shout out for Death, right?
Yeah.
Well, when we reached out into the Discord, we got a couple calls out for Destruction. I wanted to cover that army was and I think they got the highest out of everybody saying something was the Sons of Bahamut. I think they got one of the best winning War Scrolls, Prayer Warriors. They got a couple different cool fun things that they got to add to their army. The big thing that I know everybody was giving the biggest shout out to was the new Scourge of Aqshy Gatebreaker Gargant.
Yes. This is going to be a problem for everyone on the table. This GHB.
Yeah, if you're playing against Sons of Bahamut, they're probably running this. They may run multiples of this. So,
Yes.
but let's
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and break that down. One so far he has a range attack, 18 inches, one attack, threes and twos, 3
Mhm.
rend, 4 damage. Which I mean, for one shot, threes and twos. I know it's not the most consistent, but man, 3 rend, 4 damage. That's if that hits, that's going through for the most part.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, Also got 3 melee profiles. The Almighty Stomp, which has anti-infantry plus 1 rend, 4 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, D3, which you could
Yep.
potentially get a rend 3. All at attack brings all of these again to from 4s and 2s to 3s and 2s.
Yeah. There's
Um,
ways to get it more reliable.
yeah, so there's that. Next one is they have their Death Grip, 1 attack, 4s and 2s, anti-hero plus 1 rend, damage rend 2, so if it's a hero rend 3, d6 damage, which seems gnarly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Again, you're probably all attacking these guys, right?
Yeah.
To get it down 3s and a 2s, 2 rend, d6 damage, that's gnarly. Last one's going to be your Fort Crusher Flail. Six attacks, 4s and a 2s again. Anti-faction terrain, which I think really cool keyword that they gave out there. Like, yeah, like you're not gonna be able to charge the faction terrain anymore, but if this dude comes through, he's going to break your shit.
Yes.
He's the gate breaker. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
love that lorically wise, like very very sick. But 4s and 6 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 4 damage. Again, plus 1 rend if it's an anti-faction terrain, so that's 3 damage. It gets like my trees or whatever.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very dope.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. So after that, he also has some pretty cool abilities that the big Guardians always have the sick abilities, which I think is pretty dope. I think the big one that everybody is talking about is going to be what is this? Well, I heard a couple good things. Let's go ahead and just break it down ability by ability. This is a once per battle, your hero phase. Until the start of your next turn, this unit has a move characteristic of 4d6. While this unit is within 1 inch of a terrain feature, the attack's characteristic if its hurl boulder is d6 instead of 1. So if he's standing by a terrain, he's yeeting 6 of those 3 and 2, 3 random rocks at you.
Oh my god. That's gonna
That
be a big problem.
that is going to be nasty. And this is once per battle your hero phase. So if you have multiple units, like they can each do this. And this is not a unique hero. Or not a unique. So after that, he also has passive. This unit can pass through models in non-monster units and parts of terrain features that are less than 4 inches tall. So he can just basically he can fly over units that are smaller than 4 inches.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. You and your opponent, next one is once per turn. Your movement phase, you and your opponent must roll off. Each player adds their fury level to the roll. Then this unit can move distance up to its move characteristic. It can move through combat ranges of enemy units, but it cannot end the move within combat unless you won the roll off. So he can just move in the
Into
combat
combat.
phase.
Oh my god, if
And
he
he's
wins the
going to
roll off.
add his fury level. And he can
Oh
move.
my god, that's scary, dude.
Bro, his move is 10 inches. So if he wins the roll off, he could just run into combat 10 inches. That's
Oh my
crazy.
god. Nasty
And he's
dork.
gonna add the fury. So this is why. So Zach was giving a shout out to the Gatebreaker. Rick was giving shout out to the Gatebreaker. I'm starting now as we break this down. I'm starting to see why this is a problem. Last one is passive. If this unit would be automatically destroyed, it is not automatically destroyed. Instead, allocate 6 damage points to it. Ward rolls cannot be made for those damage points. So you can't even Archeon one-shot him.
Yeah, you can't Slayer of Kings it.
Yeah. So that sounds pretty gnarly, man.
Passive, dude. It's just you can't. That's 35 wounds you're gonna have to deal with. 35 wounds that's producing
4 of
25
save.
damage.
Yeah,
Oh God, potentially.
on a 4-up save. He's also going to be like yeeting shit at you. He's also going to be running away from you. Like
Oh,
he's gonna
the
be a problem. You know what I
Gargant
mean?
with tech? What the
Yeah.
hell?
That's not the only thing that they got. They also added the Man Crusher Gargant, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. It's the single unit, like the Scourge of Aqshy got the single unit of the Man Crushers. So
Okay,
it's
cool.
like
That's the spearhead ones, right?
yeah, but it's just one as opposed to the 3.
Right.
Um, they got a new model. It's 120 points, 12 health, 5-up save, 8-inch
That's the
move,
objective getter instead
10
of sacrificing the Gargant now.
yeah, 10-inch 10 of control. That's crazy.
Wow.
He has a shot, throwing rocks, 5s and 2s, 2 ren D3, which is kind of mid.
Yeah.
He has a couple melee profiles, which you know what I mean. One is 4 his attacks. They're all 4s and 2s. One is 4 attacks, 1 ren, 2 damage. One is 1 attack, 2 ren, D3 damage, and one is 1 and 4, 2 ren and 4 damage.
Right.
No like infantry or anti-infantry. No, none of that. I guess in his shooting phase, the damage of the characteristics of his throwing rocks is 3 instead of D3
Ooh.
once per turn. So on his turn, he can just make it 3. Then he can spend up to 3 rage dice if you do. For each rage dice, add 2 attacks characteristic to the unit's throwing rocks. Okay. So you can basically spend your rage dice to yeet more rocks.
That
And you
seems to
can
be the
make it
theme of their abilities here is just eating more rocks.
Yeah, so you can throw more rocks, and then you can make them 3s instead of D3s, which I guess, that's kind of cool.
Dang.
Another thing that they got was they got a new spell lore. Granted, I believe King Broad is their only priest, not spell lore.
You prayer lore.
They had a new prayer lore, so it's literally only for King
For
Broad.
broad, yeah.
Yeah,
It's prayer lore for broad.
yes. So he did get his own custom prayer lore. We'll just go through those real quick. This is on a 3-up hero phase. He can pick a friendly Sons of Bahamut unit. Pick a friendly Sons of Bahamut unit within 12 inches of that target. Make a chanting roll a d6. If the chanting roll is a 6, this goes up on a 3. You can add another, so his super spell or his super prayer is on a 6. And then he could pick 1 if it's on just a 3. 6, he can pick 2. He can ignore the effects of battle damaged abilities on each target. So you can just turn off like your bracket.
Yeah,
on a 3. And then each target has a ward of 6. So 35 wounds with a ward of 6 seems nasty.
Yeah,
and you can turn up the battle damage, which is kind of nice. Next one is Terrible Toes on a 4-up. Pick a friendly Sons of Bahamut priest to cast or to chant this prayer. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. Make a chanting roll a d6. Roll a dice for each model on the target of the unit. If the chanting roll was 8, add 1 to the roll. For each 6-up, inflict 1 mortal damage to the target. Then if
it's
any
a
enemy
prayer.
Yes, but if any enemy models are slain by this ability, have the target's move characteristic until its next turn.
Ooh.
So not only will you break their horde,
bro. It's the screen stopper.
Yeah, so it's like you're just gonna make them super slow. That's pretty sick. Next, we got a prayer goes off on a 5. It's called Vocal Tectonics. You're gonna pick a friendly Sons of Bahamut priest. Chant this prayer. Pick a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of them to be a target, and then make a chanting roll of d6. If the chanting roll was a 10, you can pick another eligible unit to be the target, or be a second target. So they obviously all have like a really cool, super prayer. Until the start of your next turn, each target has strike last.
Oof.
Yeah, strike last against Gargants is not
where you want to be.
No, you are going to die.
Yeah,
that's a problem. You know what I mean? That's going to be a problem. So if you see Broad and someone's running Broad, go kill Broad.
Easier said than done, bro. But yeah, definitely it makes him prime target.
Definitely. They also did get some enhancements, like we were talking about like the non-heroes. This one is cracked heals or unique enhancements that can be given to Man Crusher Gargants. So they are trying to buff up the Man Crusher Gargant.
Let's go.
Each unit or a unit can only have one cracked heal. This one is a hero phase. There's 3 of them. You get to roll a dice on a 5-up. You can make him a priest 1 instead of making a chanting roll or prayer. The chanting roll is 5 and cannot be modified. That's pretty nice. On a 5-up, you just get another prayer. This one is this unit can melee weapons have charge +1 damage to the Man Crusher Gargants.
Oh my
That's
god.
pretty nasty.
They did not need any more damage.
And then this unit has a ward of 5-up while it's wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Mega Gargant. So if you have
So they're
a
gonna be
Mega,
pairing these up now, yeah.
and this one I think it's Man Crusher Gargant, so you can use the 3-pack and add this buff to the 3 of them, giving each of them a 5-up ward and a 5-up save. Which I mean, you know, like we talked about earlier, you know, it's as long as you're not swinging, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're not swinging, bro, 5-up ward goes off.
It goes off definitely, bro. And I'm hearing a lot of 5-up abilities with everything they're adding, so they know that we know 5-ups go off, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be all of our destruction. You know, we went through two orders. We went through a destruction. We went through a death. This episode is going a little bit longer, so let's go ahead and do one more of the winners that we think, and then maybe you know we'll make this into a series where we can kind of break down like some of the more questionable things that happened that kind of dropped. You know. But I think as far as like the chaos winners, you know, Zach from the House of Hobbies, he kept shouting out the Slaves to Darkness, Chaos Warriors. Chaos Warriors, obviously slaves, you know, kind of holds like a little bit of my heart. You know, we have Team Reckless Zach, and Team Reckless Zach, he runs Slaves to Darkness, man. Yeah. And you know, I thought his chaff was like one of the better chaff, you know, in the game.
The Chaos Warriors, yeah.
The Chaos Warriors, dude, super sick. So the fact that they got a new Scourge Aqshy scroll, I really like that. I think that's very sick. For people who don't know, it's a 5-inch move. There's, I believe, 10 of them. Yeah, 10 of them for 200 points, 2 health, 1 control, 3-up save. So it's, you know, pretty tanky. 20 wounds.
Well,
each one has 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. Crit auto wound, which is, you know, pretty nice. And then their ability once per turn, hero phase, until the start of the next turn, the following cumulative effects apply depending on your fury level. So depending on your fury level, you can add multiple of these. 1-up is Riled. This unit has a ward of 6, so a 3-up save with a 6-up ward, that's pretty nice. On a 4, so your fury level is 4, this unit's melee weapons have anti-charge +1 rend. Okay. So if you charge them, they're 2 attacks.
What they want you to do.
+1 rend. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Crit auto wounds. That seems crazy. And then 7, this unit has strike first while it has not charged. So you can stack these once you get your fury level super high up there. So these are gonna just, you know, these are gonna be gross.
They're bait Chaos Warriors that actually punch.
By turn 4, you know what I mean? If they're fury level 7, they haven't cashed in those fury dice, they're about to start smacking you with this shit. That's
Absolutely.
gonna be obnoxious.
100%.
They also got the Scourge of Aqshy Chaos Sword on the Karkadrak, which is, you know, the hero on the cool mount. He's pretty cool. I don't know like what he does. I know he's pretty dope. I like his model. But his Scourge of Aqshy, he's 230 points, 9-inch move, 10 health, 2 control, 3-up save, which, you know, like most of Slaves to Darkness stuff is 3-up save.
Yeah, they're good. They're good for saving.
His weapons, he's got 2 melee profiles, which, you know, always very dope. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, charge +1 damage, and crit mortals. That's pretty sick. So you can get him dealing 15 damage on that potentially.
Absolutely.
And crit mortals on 3s and 3s, pretty consistent. He also, for the companion weapon, has 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, 1 run, 2 damage, which, for basically the horse, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Once per turn, combat phase. So if obviously, Slaves to Darkness, they have combat phase nonsense, fucking assholes. You can only use this ability if this unit has charged. You can pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. For the rest of the turn, add 1 to the damage characteristic of this unit's companion weapons for that target.
Mm-hmm.
Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with companion weapons used by friendly Slaves to Darkness cavalry and war machine units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. This unit is also a cavalry, so he will get that buff as well. And then if this unit charged this turn, pick this unit. If the friendly non-hero Warriors of Chaos unit that charged this turn and is wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Each target can move a number of inches equal to your fury level. If the target was in combat at the start of the move, it must end that move in combat with all of the units it was already in combat with at the end of the move. It cannot move into combat with units it was not already in combat with. So you're just basically getting a lot of movement to your warriors. It looks like that's sick.
It's helping your warriors cover objectives and be an effective screen, but a screen that can punch back pretty well with all the circumstances that the anti-charge and stuff like that. So dude, Slaves to Darkness, like
now that we're breaking down this stuff, I see why Zach was shouting him out so highly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They also got some artifacts of power, which is pretty nice. 3 of them. We'll just go through those real quick. Once per battle, opponent declares a spell for a wizard within 18 inches of this unit. That friendly wizard can use a spell ability as if it were your hero face. Okay, nice. Wow. And the casting roll for that spell is equal to the casting roll for the enemy spell. That's pretty sick.
Wow.
So basically, pick a friendly Slaves to Darkness wizard within 18 inches of this unit. So, and you're doing this whenever an opponent casts a spell, you'll get to cast a spell. And your roll is equal to the casting roll for that enemy spell. That's crazy.
Dang, some spells go off on 5s.
Yeah, so if you can just get it to go off on what they rolled, that's pretty sick. They also got another artifact where it's weapons used for attacks that target this unit have a maximum damage characteristic of 1. So you cannot do more than 1 damage per attack. That's fucking gnarly.
Insane. Nerf shit.
Yeah, that's gnarly. So basically, you just attach this to something, and you're like, oh yeah, Dirthu can only deal 4 damage because he only has 4 attacks. Ooh. That's crazy. Last one is going to be a once per battle combat phase. Pick one of the units with melee weapon to be the target. Pick one of the following. Inflict D3 damage on this unit, then double the target's weapon attacks characteristic for the rest of the turn. So you can double their attacks by dealing 3 mortals. And then add D6 to the target's weapons attacks characteristic for the rest of the turn. You can add up to 6 more attacks. That is insane. So it's like you're just gonna kill, what I mean? Like whatever. You're like, yeah, these Vanguard will take 3 mortals, but they're gonna add 5 more attacks. You're like,
man.
You're dead.
I can see now with the new Chaos Warriors that maybe now people will be like a unit of Vanguard and a unit of Chaos Warriors. They complement each other well with these new artifacts and abilities.
Well, imagine 1 unit reinforces it's going to be 20 models and it's 40 health, 3 up save, 6 up ward at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and it's just, you can Slaves just buffs everything. You know what I mean? So all their stuff is just going to buff other stuff.
Sounds really good. Sounds like they made it out really well.
Sounds like they did really good. Last thing, they also got some enhancements that can be attached to non-heroes infantry. So it's just like how me and you got for our Seraphon or Sylvaneth and everything. This one is once per battle movement phase. The brand of the unbreakable bonds. Remove this unit from the battlefield and set it up wholly within 3 inches of an objective you controlled not in combat. This unit cannot use charge abilities for the rest of the turn. So
Teleport.
remove this unit from the battlefield. You can just teleport an infantry. So these chosen, you said these chosen are going over here.
Insane.
These chosen are going 3 inches over here.
Insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. Next one is while your Fury level 7, add 1 to the damage characteristic this unit's weapons, which is fucking gnarly. This is another one where they want you to get 7, so you'd probably pair this one with that other one.
Yes.
Last one is going to be Hero Phase. Remove all of this unit's Pledge to Chaos keywords, then pick one of the following Pledge to Chaos keywords. You cannot pick the keyword that you picked earlier in the battle round. So basically, in your Hero Phase, you could just switch.
Recycle the like.
You can just change it. You can change your pledges.
I remember Zach saying in a game one time, "I wish you could switch your pledge," and now you can.
Yeah,
they
that's
heard
so.
you.
For a non-hero, he can switch it. That's pretty dope. You know what I mean? So he can make his chosen this or his Vanguard this, and then switch that up. You know what I mean? That's pretty
tech
gnarly.
for the slaves.
It seems like too much, right?
Tech for the slaves. Tech for the sons of Bahamut.
Yeah.
Where's the power for the kids? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they got some good stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of like looked through. I didn't look through like too much of everything, you know.
Yeah.
It was just like a lot because obviously they drop it like it was last week and they just dropped kind of everything.
Absolutely. As the PHB unfolds, we're going to cover more of these War Scrolls. We're going to cover more of these enhancements. We're going to cover more of these traits. But we're just two guys who can barely cover what we're seeing right now. But one for each faction. That gives you a glimpse and what to expect for the new GHB. It's tough because we're going to encounter a lot of this stuff, and it's good for us to know. But it is literally going to take us weeks. It's going to take us multiple different opponents. It's going to take multiple different battle plans before we even have any of this stuff ironed out in our minds. My advice to the listeners, and it's also to myself and you, Robert, is get comfortable with your army stuff and what they do.
100%. Yep. Learn what your guys' stuff does.
And after you don't need to look at the app for their stuff, that's when you can start investigating everybody else's stuff. I know that preparation is the best, defense from going on a losing streak in this hobby. But you can't be prepared for everything. Not at this stage. Everything's too new. We all need time. I feel like even some of the veteran players out there. I would love to hear Joel or Erica or anybody who's been playing for a long time across multiple editions, how they feel right now. Is there anxiety? Is there worry? Is there confusion? I gotta imagine there is. But we're here. Rolling Recklessly, the podcast, baby, is here to help you unwind and figure this thing out. And we didn't say we're going to make you better. We said we're going to make you feel. We said you're going to make you feel better. We'll make you feel better. Right?
I think it's crazy. I think Scourge of Aqshy, especially with these new War Scrolls, everybody was real hyped for them to drop. This was the one thing, when they were doing the new GHB, we got the tactics and we got the battle plans and we saw that and everybody was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then they were like, let's get the War Scrolls. We all want the War Scrolls. And you know what? We didn't get to cover all of them, but I think we covered out some of the real big standout ones, I do want to give a big shout out to, the House of Hobbies guys for really helping us find what you guys thought stood out, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Colin, you guys' opinions, just, it was really nice to go through and look at these and it's like, oh man, these guys they see what's going on.
Yeah, Rick was chiming in a lot, so shouts out to Rick.
Yeah, big shout out to Rick. Yeah,
I know Eric R. Shouts out to you, Robert. Not you, but other Robert. On the Discord. He's been covering a lot of it, dude. Everybody's unpacking this together. It's amazing that we're all coming together and trying to make ourselves better and also come to an understanding, because it's we got to learn the game all over again, bro. Everything is so shiny and new.
Exactly. You know what? And I think that's a great place to wrap this thing up. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap things up for our first impressions of the Scourge of Aqshy. like we said throughout today's episode, these exactly are that. First impressions, you know. The real fun starts once the rules actually hit the tabletop, tournaments get underway, and players start finding out the interactions that nobody noticed on day one. And honestly, I can't wait to see where the conversation is 3 months from now, and we can go back and look at, you know, were we on the pulse or were we dead wrong? You know, we definitely are big onto the Mystic Mac predictions. So I'm really excited to see where we are in, you know, a month or two. See who's running what, see what's going on. Before we head out, I want to give a big shout out to everyone over at House of Hobbies Discord, man. Thank you guys for contributing. Big shout out to Zach, all of you guys. Again, you know, you came through. I asked you guys just a simple question. You guys all came through with like some real knowledge of stuff that, you know, to be perfectly honest, I didn't have to do any research for. So it helped a lot. So I really appreciate that. Scarecrow, you got any shout outs for us?
Shout out to all the local LGS out here in Arizona, Authority Games, Hobby Forge, Gamers Guild,
Back Alley Miniatures. Back Alley Miniatures.
Yeah.
Took care of us on the GHB. We love you, Back Alley Miniatures.
I almost want to gatekeep it a little bit because I love the guy, but you know, yeah, Back Alley Miniatures. If you have not looked into them, get to know them here in Arizona. Yeah. Awesome guy named Bam who runs the place. He will help you out. He got me and Robert Wright with the new GHB. Love it. Back Alley Miniatures. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But yeah, that's all my shouts out, brother. Shouts out to Tanner and Josiah for playing with Team Reckless this week. You guys.
Shouts out Tanner. Shouts out Josiah. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much for helping us to learn the new GHB. I'm proud of you both. I know you guys are both growing with the hobby and learning the game, and I'm very impressed with how relentless you boys are and how much you're learning this game and really absorbing it. I feel like you guys are more excited to play every time we play, and I can't wait to play with you guys again. So yeah, shouts out to our opponents, Tanner and Josiah. Thanks for playing with Team Reckless this week. Shouts out to Zach, bro, the other part of Team Reckless. We mentioned earlier that he plays Slaves to Darkness. You know, I really miss that we didn't get to see that represented more over the last GHB. Maybe we'll get to see it one more time during this GHB. But yeah, shouts out to the third part of Team Reckless, the quiet third part, but he's there and you're in our hearts, brother.
Yep, I love that. That's a great way to close this out, man. You know, if you guys enjoyed this episode today, please be sure to follow us on wherever you get your podcast. Probably watching over here at YouTube at Rolling Recklessly. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know down in the comments. Who do you think the biggest winners were of the Scourge of Aqshy? And who do you think got left behind? Also,
yeah, are you switching up your army? Are you going to change your tactics? Are you going to completely send caution to the wind and put your entire force on the mid battle line? Put it just run everything right forward. You know, these things happen. These are mistakes we're all ready to make. I'm just glad that we're here together. I can't do this without you, Robert. I can't do this without the other half of Team Reckless with me. This is too much to unpack for one man. If you have one person who's doing this hobby with you guys, cling close to them. Hold them close because it's going to be a storm figuring this shit out, bro. We had just got Robert tight. We had just got Grizzly perfect, where he was a winning machine. Where we were like, Robert, you go in there and you achieve your tactics and you win. And we finally got him there. And then now it's all up in the air again. So
now it's all changed. Who knows? So, who knows who's going to be good? Who knows what's going to happen?
So, you know, take us out the only way you know how to take us out, Chris.
May you guys' crits be high, your paint never dry, and your rolls ever reckless.
Hell yeah.
Where the battle lines meet the sky. May your you got 'em.